Welcome back to NeuroPower Talks, where science meets soul, and we rewire the brain to reclaim your deepest truths. Today's topic is raw, it's personal, and it's one of the most painful patterns you'll ever face. Why your brain is taking you against your love. You think it's just miscommunication, you think it's timing, personality differences, or bad luck. But what if it's not that simple? What if the real conflict isn't happening between you and the person you love, but deep inside your brain? Because here's the truth most people never hear. The brain is not built for love, it's built for survival. And when those two things clash, when your nervous system perceives love as a threat, it will sabotage connection, distort memories, block intimacy, trigger withdrawal, and even rewrite your reality just to keep you safe. So if you've ever asked yourself, why do I pull away when I get close? Or why do I keep hurting the very person I love? Or why do I lose myself the moment I feel vulnerable? This talk is for you. Because until you understand the neurobiology of attachment, the threat circuits of your brain, and the invisible programs wired in childhood, you'll keep sabotaging love, even when your heart is screaming to hold on. In today's episode, we're going deep into the subconscious. We'll uncover the primal systems, the fear pathways, and the outdated emotional maps that your brain is still running. And more importantly, how to rewire those systems so your brain finally becomes safe enough to let love in and strong enough to let love stay. This isn't just motivation. This is brain transformation. This is NeuroPower Talks. Let's begin. You sit across from someone who sees you, not just glances at your face, not just hears your voice, but sees you, the you beneath the masks, the you behind the pain. They lean in, their eyes don't flinch, their presence is steady. And yet, something inside you recoils. You pull back, you stall, you question everything. You start thinking about exit plans just in case. And you wonder, why, when everything feels right, does something feel so wrong? Let me tell you the truth that most people never realize. Your brain is not here to help you fall in love. Your brain doesn't care if you're emotionally fulfilled. It doesn't care if you find the person who makes you feel alive. It doesn't care if you wake up wrapped in warmth and safety. Your brain, that incredible, brilliant, relentless machine in your skull, is wired for one thing only: survival. That's it. Stay alive, avoid danger, repeat patterns that kept you breathing. And here's where the problem begins. Because love, real love, the kind of love that asks you to show up with your whole self, that feels like danger to a brain trained in pain. The wiring starts early. Before you could even speak full sentences, your brain was already forming neural maps of what was safe and what was not. If love came with chaos, if comfort came with conditions, if affection was inconsistent or absent altogether, your brain took notes. It didn't judge or question, it memorized. And that memory became your blueprint. It became the silent script running beneath every relationship you've had since. So when love shows up, safe, stable, present, your body may want it, your soul may ache for it, but your brain is scanning for threats. It's looking for the trap. It's thinking, this feels too good. How long until it disappears? And even if it doesn't say it out loud, it starts pulling levers behind the scene. You overthink a text. You replay their tone. You interpret distance that isn't there. You become hyper-aware of their micro movements, hunting for signs that confirm what your brain already believes: that closeness is dangerous, that love is not to be trusted, that vulnerability equals pain. And then you start sabotaging. Not because you want to, not because you're broken or cruel, but because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from perceived harm. The moment love feels too intimate, too exposing, too good, the alarm bells go off. You pick fights, you pull away emotionally, you question your feelings, you convince yourself something's off, that they're not really for you, that something's missing, that it's too much or not enough. And underneath all of that is a terrified inner voice whispering, please don't let me get hurt again. What no one tells you is that your survival brain doesn't evolve just because you do. You can go to therapy, you can meditate, you can learn new communication skills, but unless you consciously, intentionally rewire the old programming, your brain will still default to the same defense mechanisms that once protected you. Because to your brain, love isn't defined by how someone treats you now. It's defined by what love meant in your past. If love once meant being unseen, you'll feel uneasy when someone truly notices you. If love once meant being controlled, you'll feel smothered when someone simply wants consistency. If love once meant silence after conflict, you'll flinch at healthy communication, and you won't realize you're reacting to history, not reality. That's the tragedy and the liberation of understanding your brain. It's not fighting love because you're undeserving. It's fighting love because it doesn't know the difference between intimacy and injury. It sees closeness and flashes red. And so you retreat, you armor up, you rationalize distance, but the ache remains because your heart knows what your brain won't admit, that the wall you built for safety is now your prison. But here's the miracle of being human. Your brain is plastic, not fixed, not final, plastic, moldable, changeable. You can teach it new patterns. You can rewire fear into safety, mistrust into connection, and protection into presence, but not through logic alone, through repetition, through conscious, repeated acts of staying when you want to run, softening when you want to harden, speaking when you want to stay silent, leaning in when your instincts scream retreat. Because every time you choose love over fear, not the fluffy, romanticized love, but the real, grounded, raw kind, you are reshaping your brain's map of what's possible. You are proving to your nervous system that love doesn't always end in pain. That connection doesn't always lead to betrayal. That vulnerability can lead to deeper safety, not abandonment. And yes, it's terrifying. Your hands will shake, your voice will quiver, your impulse will be to cut and run. But healing doesn't feel like peace at first. It feels like war. War between the old you that needed to protect at all costs and the new you that is learning to receive. You will want to retreat. You will want to push them away. You will want to justify your fear as intuition. But fear and intuition are not the same. One is the voice of the past. The other is the wisdom of the present. And if you don't learn the difference, you will confuse trauma for truth. Let that sink in. You will confuse trauma for truth. Your brain doesn't mean harm. It believes it's saving you. It's drawing from the only data it's ever had. But now you are the data. Your actions, your presence, your decisions, they become the evidence that love can feel different. But you must stay long enough to give your brain new proof. Because the old stories don't fade on their own. They scream for attention. They demand to be seen, healed, rewritten. And until you do, you will keep misinterpreting love as danger and safety as boredom and distance as independence. But you are not your past. You are not your brain's reflexes. You are not doomed to repeat the pain that shaped you. You are capable of standing still in the presence of real love and choosing it, not because it's comfortable, but because it's true. You are capable of noticing the moment you start to shut down and pausing. You are capable of seeing the patterns before they take hold. You are capable of saying, this time, I will not run. This time, I will stay. This time, I will choose differently. And don't get me wrong, not all love is healthy. Not all relationships are worth saving. But when you find one that is, when you are met with consistency, empathy, and truth, and your first instinct is to flee, that's when you must ask, is this fear based on them or based on my history? Because the brain is quick to conflate the two. And if you don't pause and question the automatic pull of the past, you'll live the same love story in different bodies over and over again. Not because love is broken, but because the part of you that decides what love feels like is still being run by a version of you that doesn't know what safety is. But now you know. You know that fear is not the enemy. It's the echo of an old alarm bell. You know that distance is not strength. It's often unhealed protection. You know that your brain will try to keep you in the familiar, even when the familiar is pain. And you know that the only way to rewire it is to walk into the unfamiliar with your eyes wide open and say, this is safe, I am safe, this love is not the same. Because love will not always feel like safety at first, especially if you've never known it as such. It may feel boring, unnatural, overwhelming. It may feel like a silence you don't trust, a calm you haven't earned. But stay. Stay until the storm inside quiets. Stay until your brain catches up to the present. Stay until the fear gives way to trust. Stay until your nervous system stops preparing for war and starts allowing peace. Because that moment, that turning point, when your brain finally lets your heart lead, that's when healing becomes your new instinct. And that's when love becomes the revolution it was always meant to be. Do you want to know why love feels like walking into a storm, even when you can see the sun shining in someone's eyes? Why something deep inside you trembles when they say, "I'm not going anywhere"? Why you want to believe it with every cell in your body, and yet there's this quiet panic that rises like a tide. You smile, but your chest tightens. You open your mouth to speak, but the words are filtered through hesitation. You want to be all in, but you're already scanning for the exits. Why? Because your brain doesn't live in this moment. It lives in the past. It doesn't judge, it just predicts. It doesn't ask, is this love healthy? It asks, have I seen this before and how did it end? And if what it saw before was betrayal, if it saw inconsistency, neglect, confusion, abandonment, your brain says, brace yourself, it's coming again. That's not your heart talking, that's your brain rehearsing pain. That's your nervous system anticipating impact. That's the past gripping your present like it owns it. Your brain is a brilliant prediction machine. It watches, it remembers, it builds patterns, but it doesn't care if those patterns destroy your chances at joy. It only cares if they kept you alive. It pulls from the archive and assumes it knows what happens next. Oh, they stopped texting for a few hours. That means they're losing interest. They didn't say, I love you back. They're pulling away. They didn't notice you were upset. That means they don't care. And suddenly, the person in front of you is no longer them. They're a hologram of every wound you've ever endured. You're not loving them. You're defending yourself from ghosts. That's how the past becomes a weapon, not against them, against you. And if you're not aware of it, if you don't interrupt that loop, your brain will sabotage something beautiful just to stay consistent with what it used to know. Because to the brain, certainty, even if it's painful, feels safer than the unknown. That's why some people chase chaos and call it passion. That's why peace feels suspicious. That's why when someone shows up with steady love, your instincts scream, this can't be real. You're not broken. You're not cold. You're not emotionally unavailable. You're just running outdated programming, and it's time to update it. Let me say this with clarity. Your history is not your destiny unless you refuse to challenge it. Your brain may have built its map on wounds, but you are not stuck driving the same road. You can stop. You can recalibrate. You can teach your brain that this love is not that love, that this moment is not that memory, that this person is not the one who left. But you have to choose it, not once, not just when it feels easy, but over and over, especially when your fear starts writing fiction. You have to notice the thoughts and say, wait, is this real or is this a rerun? You have to catch yourself before you assign meaning to silence, before you label kindness as manipulation, before you rewrite someone's presence as a setup for their exit. You have to slow the cycle because awareness is the first rewire. You see, the truth is, healing doesn't mean you'll never be triggered. It means you'll recognize the trigger and respond differently. It means you stop punishing the present for the crimes of the past. It means you hold your own hand through the panic and whisper, this time we're safe. That's what healing sounds like. Not perfection, not control, but self-trust. And maybe that's what this love is here to teach you. Not how to be perfect, not how to be invulnerable, but how to stay present even when your past screams for attention. How to lean in even when your reflex says run. How to let someone meet you where it once felt unsafe to be seen. That's not weakness, that's power. That's what it means to become the author of your own experience. That's what it means to take the pen back from pain and write something new in your own voice. So here's the call. Stop letting the past predict your future. Stop ghostwriting your love stories with fear. Start building new evidence. Start catching yourself in the act of self-sabotage and choosing to stay curious. Stay curious when you want to shut down. Stay curious when you feel rejected. Stay curious when you feel like you've been here before, because maybe, just maybe, you haven't. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just healing. Maybe this isn't a repeat. Maybe it's the rewrite. But you won't know unless you're brave enough to let the story unfold without skipping ahead to the part where it ends. You are allowed to love. You are allowed to trust. You are allowed to believe that love can last, even if it didn't before. And you are allowed to rewire your brain to support that belief instead of suffocating it. You don't need a perfect partner, you need a willing brain, one that's ready to learn, one that's open to the unknown, one that understands that new love needs new stories, not recycled scripts. And if you're looking for a space to keep building that mindset, to keep unlocking the full capacity of your brain and your heart, you already know where to go. NeuroPower Talks exists for this exact reason, to help you unlearn what holds you back and rewire what sets you free. This is your space. Your mirror, your reminder that the power you're searching for is already in you. So remember this, your past was real, your pain was valid, but your future doesn't have to be a copy of what you've already lived. It can be new, it can be honest, it can be yours. If you choose it, if you trust it, if you're brave enough to believe that love, real love, doesn't come to wound you, it comes to wake you up.